This video is a recap of the divisions and parts of the nervous system. So, if you remember, the nervous system has two major divisions, the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. So, the central nervous system itself is made up of two major components, namely the spinal cord and the brain. You have to remember that the spinal cord also does simple decisions such as reflex actions. So that's why the brain and the spinal cord make up the central nervous system, which is basically the decision makers of the body. If you look at the brain, it is divided into three main parts. The cerebrum, which takes care of all the senses, it processes all the senses, and also complex thought. Now, the cerebellum, on the other hand, takes care coordination and balance of your body, while the brainstem is responsible for everything autonomic in your body. So your breathing rate, your heart rate, your blood pressure, that is taken care of by the brainstem. Now, the other half of the nervous system, as mentioned, is the peripheral nervous system, and that system itself is divided into two subdivisions, namely the somatic nervous system and the autonomic nervous system. The somatic nervous system is easier because it's only composed of nerves, and there are just two types of nerves. You have spinal nerves that connect directly to the spinal cord, and the other one are cranial nerves that connect directly to the brain. And if you look at the autonomic nervous system, which is half of the peripheral nervous system, it is divided further into two subsystems, and that is the sympathetic nervous system and then the parasympathetic nervous system. Now, the functions of these two, is just uh, to control when we go into two modes of the body, and these modes are the fight or flight response mode and the normal mode. So again, fight or flight response is when we feel there's a life-threatening situation, and your body triggers a chain reaction that makes your muscles flex harder so that it can fight, so that our body can fight or fly or flee from the danger. While the parasympathetic nervous system is the other way around, it would take over the body when there's no emergency, when we are just doing normal stuff. So it lowers down the heart rate, lowers down the breathing rate, and so on. So again, sympathetic and parasympathetic, two systems that are in charge of two modes of our body. One is the fight or flight response mode, and the other is for the normal mode. Fight or flight response mode, that's the job of sympathetic nervous system, and the normal mode is the job of the parasympathetic nervous system. So to recap, again, nervous system, two divisions, central and then peripheral. The central nervous system has two subparts, spinal cord and the brain. And the brain itself is divided into cerebellum, cerebrum, and brainstem, while the peripheral nervous system has two main divisions, the somatic and the autonomic. The somatic is made up of two nerves, two types of nerves, the spinal nerves and the cranial nerves, while the autonomic nervous system are made of two systems, one in charge of fight or flight, which is the sympathetic, and one is in charge for normal circumstances, the counterbalance of the sympathetic nervous system. We call this the parasympathetic nervous system. So that would be it for the recap of the divisions and parts of the nervous system.